Juventus have embarked on a new chapter under the leadership of new manager Thiago Motta. Known for his innovative tactical ideas and commitment to fluid attacking football, Motta aims to rejuvenate the Bianconeri with a blend of strategic discipline and creative freedom. As Juventus prepares for the season ahead, all eyes will be on how Motta's vision transforms the team's playstyle and fortunes in both the domestic and European competitions. Here's how you can go ahead and recreate his preseason tactics in FC24. Thiago Motta has often preferred to use a 4-2-3-1 system and shape. We saw with his time at Bologna, he had a lot of success using it, having the centre-backs rotate out to the wings or even into the midfield and having the midfielders drop into the back line, and the same would occur with the fullbacks. Now, this system does allow this to occur, and we have seen a bit of that in the early stages of Thiago Motta's time at Juventus, but we've also seen a very common shape in modern football, and that is the 3-2-4-1, having the likes of Cambiasso rotate into the midfield and operates as an inverted fullback, looking to sit alongside either a Locatelli or a Thuram at the base of the midfield. Motta's tactical approach is all about flexibility and fluidity. At times, we might see one of the centre-backs operating as a left winger, we might see one of the fullbacks operating as a DM, and we might see one of the DMs operating as a centre-back. It's all about the fluidity, it's all about the rotations, and the best tactical vision that can allow you to successfully go ahead and implement this is the wing play tactical vision. You will also see a lot of the Juventus attacks stem from those wider areas, whether it's a good combination play between the fullbacks and the wingers or the centre-backs and the wingers, or alternatively looking just to attack from those wider areas and try and penetrate the opposition to fire in a cross or a cutback. You do tend to see a lot of their attacking outlets stemmed from the wide channels. Now, in terms of the defense and the defensive style, I have set this to pressure on heavy touch, as again, we do see the wingers, the wide players, pressing and probing, and we do tend to see at times the striker just drop a bit deep and try and man mark either the defensive midfielder or one of the first phase important midfield players in the opposition's build-up play. So you do want to try and have the team regain its shape, regain its structure, making it very difficult to pass through them and play through the Juventus side. But you also want to have that pressing and probing elements to your defensive setup. For the team's width, I have set this to 50, which will create this good man-v-man element, a good marking structure, a good pressing structure if you are trying to aggressively press high up the field and you do initiate and implement the team pressing. The depth of the side should be set to 75, and this is going to initiate a high line. Now, essentially, this will help with the aggressive pressing if you are trying to implement an aggressive press on the opposition, but also it will encourage the backline players to get higher up the field and be a bit more involved in the attacking outlet, having them play those line-breaking passes, having them make those runs further forward into the attacking zones. So a high line does help initiate Motta's tactical style. As for the offensive approach for Thiago Motta's Juventus side, the build-up play should be set to slow build-up. Now, going back to what he did at Bologna, they would always look to play out from the back. They'd always have the centre-backs or the full-backs or the DMs dropping into the space, showing for those passes, having those shorter passing options available for the goalkeeper, or alternatively, the goalkeeper could go long further forward into the likes of Joshua Zirkzee. Now, I would imagine from what I've seen so far in the preseason, that is something that Thiago Motta would also want to implement. That first phase build-up play, having the centre-backs, the DMs, and of course the fullbacks be very involved in it and looking to establish that good offensive platform for the rest of the team to be able to build up off of. Now, as for the chance creation, I have set this to possession, and Thiago Motta is all about maintaining, retaining the ball, making sure that his side is looking to try and dictate the tempo in the game and the play essentially. And you will always have extra passing options in and around you, whether you're in your own third, the final third, the midfield area. You'll always be able to find that extra pass, and it is important to be as patient as possible when using these tactics, as that is a very important element to Thiago Motta's offensive play. He wants his side to maintain the ball, he wants his side to retain the ball, and he wants his side to rotate it as much as possible, looking for those spaces, and when those spaces do occur, he wants his side to execute in those attacking areas and try and, exploit the opposition. As you'll see here, for the width of the side, I have set this to 65, as more so Juventus try and target the central areas with their attacking play and vacate those wider areas for either the fullbacks or the wingers, or maybe one of the centre-backs who have gotten forward and into those wider areas. So you do want to try and have them isolated in those wider zones as much as possible by having your team focus their attacking outlets and their attacking movements in the central zones. For the players in the box, I have set this to 6, allowing for at least 3 players to be in and around the attacking zone. The likes of Vlahovic will be ready and waiting for those potential crosses or cutbacks, but you also want to have a decent, sufficient amount of players on the edge of the area if the ball is needed to be rotated, or just looking to reset the offensive play. And then finally, the corners and the free kicks, as per always, should be set to 4. Onto the individual player roles and instructions, starting off at the front with the striker in Vlahovic. who will be set to stay central. He doesn't tend to drift as much. He will also look to make those aggressive runs in behind, but he can be a focal point. He can be a target player. He can also at times choose to drop quite deep and link up with the midfield, and that is why the attacking runs should be set to mixed. The interceptions, I have set this to normal, as I did say earlier, that the two wingers tend to press and probe higher up the field and have the likes of the striker drop quite deep and sit on the opposition's defensive midfielder or one of their important first phase build-up midfielders. And then finally, the defensive support should be set to basic, allowing him at times to drop a bit deeper or in other moments stay further up the field and be the attacking option higher up. The attacking midfielder role is something very different. Now, essentially, Douglas Luiz was brought in from Aston Villa, and I did not expect him to be, playing as the attacking midfielder. But after watching the first few games of the preseason, you do tend to see a lot of fluidity. You do tend to see a lot of rotation. At times, you might see Douglas Luiz situated as the attacking midfielder, pressing and probing high up the field, looking to be the linking chain between the midfield and the strikers or the wingers. Or at times, you might see the likes of Thuram operating high up the field, or Locatelli operating high up the field, and Douglas Luiz dropping into their area and zone. So you do want to try and generate that good fluidity and rotation in your midfield. And in order to successfully go ahead and do that as best as possible for FC24, I have set the defensive support to come back on defense, and this will help him get into those deeper zones and try and vacate that attacking midfield area for one of your box-to-box midfielders in Locatelli or Thuram to get further forward and venture up the field. The support on crosses for the attacking midfielder should be set to a balanced approach. You want him in the box at times or on the edge of the area looking to try and facilitate the offense. And then, of course, stick to position for the positioning freedom. And one thing I will say, Douglas Luiz does tend to aggressively press high up the field at times, so you also want to have him set to aggressive interceptions. Now, onto your two wider players in Yildiz as well as Weah, and both of them will be set to the same roles and instructions. Both will be set to come back on defense, as you do tend to see the wide players helping each other out, helping assist either or, and especially if the likes of a Cambiasso or a Cabral does overlap and venture further forward, you do need and require a player to slot into that defensive area of the field, and that is exactly what Yildiz as well as Weah can provide for the team. And not to mention, when you are building out from the back, you do want your wings to drop quite deep or have naturally deeper starting positions so that they can provide those extra passing options in the wider zones. The chance creation should be set to stay wide, as the left and the right midfielders tend to provide the width in the side when going forward or when attacking, and you do tend to see a good amount of interchange occurring between the fullbacks or the centre backs in certain moments, or even at times the defensive midfielders when they do get forward. So you want to have a lot of wide penetration occurring, and that is why stay wide is absolutely essential. The support runs, I have left it on balance, as this will help implement the guess and behind approach, where you do tend to see them making those adventurous runs further forward, looking to penetrate and execute in that space just in behind the opposition's backline. But at times as well with the initial build-up play, especially if the fullbacks are overlapping or one of the players is going to overlap, you do want to have the wider players come a bit short, show for the ball, provide those extra passing options, and not really look to try and rush the attacking outlets. Finally, the interception should be set to aggressive, as your two wider players will look to press and probe and try and create those mistakes and misfortunes for the opposition's backline areas. And then, of course, the support on crosses should be set to balanced. As you'll see here for the role of Weah, he's got the same role and instructions as well. And just like with the wider midfielders, your two DMs will be set to identical instructions. Starting off with the defensive behavior being set to tight mark. This will help them stick to their opponents on the edge of the box and try and prevent those late runs from the opposition midfield areas into your attacking zones. The attacking support will be set to maintain a balanced attack, and this will help create that fluidity and that rotation between the likes of Douglas Luiz and the base of your midfield, as well as the interceptions should be set to normal. Finally, both of them will be set to playing as the deep lying playmaker, as this will help them drop into the half spaces, show for the ball, and help successfully go ahead and generate that first phase offensive build-up play. And then, of course, because you will have a lot of rotation between the centre-backs and the full-backs, you do want to have a sufficient amount of wide coverage, so both of them will be set to cover the wing. As you'll see here for the likes of Locatelli, he'll have the nice box-to-box role, tight marking, normal interceptions, deep-lying playmaker, and of course, cover the wing. The two fullbacks of Danilo and Cambiasso do have differing roles, as Danilo can venture forward and lend a helping hand in the attack, but more so he has been situated as that third choice centre back or that auxiliary centre back, helping generate that 3-2-4-1 system. So for his attacking runs, you want him to stay back while attacking, but if the space is there, send him on that run, have him link up the play high up the field in that wider right channel, because the run type, when he does get forward, should be set to mix. He can either invert and underlap or potentially overlap the wider player. And then, of course, you want the right back to be able to step up and impose himself on the opposition players. As for the likes of Cambiasso, he'll be set to maintaining an attacking run type of balanced, again, allowing him to have a bit more offensive freedom, but more so staying in that position and looking to invert into the base of the midfield and operate in those central zones when required or if applicable. And even at times when he does venture further forward down the wider channels, he can look to combine very effectively with the likes of Yildiz. And then, of course, just like with the right back, you want him to also be able to step up and impose himself on the opposition. For your two centre-backs in Cabral and Gatti, now essentially I have, place Cabral as a left wing-back. Now, this will help generate that good rotational play, have the centre-back stepping up, having the centre-back play in the midfield, or even at times slightly further up the field as almost a left winger, looking to combine again sufficiently in those wider areas. But for his instructions, I have left everything on balanced, as this will initially allow him to attack the space and make those attacking runs if the space is there. But also, I have him on step up, just like with the two fullbacks, having him be very aggressive. And when Cabral was playing, we did see him stepping into the midfield quite a lot. And that is because the likes of Gatti, or it could have been Bremer, they were the cover centre-back. They didn't really rotate as much. They were more so in charge of receiving the passes and then potentially switching the play or spraying those longer balls further forward. And that is why, for the role of Gatti, I have set him to conservative interceptions. And then last but not least, Di Gregorio is a ball-playing centre-back, and that was a key fundamental signing for Thiago Motta's side, and that is why Szczesny is on the chopping block and essentially going to get sold, because he's not a ball-playing centre-back. So, sorry, not a centre-back, a goalkeeper. But in order to successfully go ahead and replicate the role of the goalkeeper under Thiago Motta, you'd want him to be very aggressive, come for the crosses, impose himself in those aerial duels, try and claim those aerial threats as much as possible, or having the centre-backs try and deal with the same issues. But also, you are going to be playing a high line. You do need a sweeper keeper. You do need a keeper that can sweep up just in behind your backline area, making sure that any potential through balls are nullified, as well as having a ball-playing goalkeeper, being able to play out under pressure, being able to play through the opposition's press, being able to successfully go ahead and establish that first phase build-up play. Now, once Juventus have established themselves in a game and have found a good offensive rhythm and movements, they will look to operate in a 3-4-2-1 system and shape, and this is more or less where the likes of Cambiasso does shift into the midfield and sit alongside either a Thuram, a Douglas Luiz, or a Locatelli at the base of the midfield area. Due to the fact that there is so much fluidity and rotation that occurs with Thiago Motta's various different systems, you don't really want to make too many tactical tweaks and changes, as for real life purposes, players would then get confused and miss rotational movements and leave big holes in the areas of the field that the opposition might go ahead and exploit. So for FC24 purposes, we haven't made any changes to it whatsoever. You can maybe push the depth up if you are looking to be a bit more imposing with your press or your attacking outlets. But really, there's no major differences or core fundamental differences between the 4-2-3-1 or the 3-2-4-1 system, as it is just a formational shift in order to try and gain the upper hand on the offensive side of things. Onto the individual player roles and instructions, and as for the goalkeeper as well as the middle centre-back, they are both set to the same roles and instructions as they were before. Now, the first major changes occur with Cabral and Danilo. Danilo is situated as a right-sided centre-back, whereas Cabral is situated as a left-back. Now, this does allow you to attack a bit more with Cabral, having him a bit more involved in the attacking play at times, because he will be set to join the attack, overlap, and step up. You want him to still be a bit more imposing, stepping up and engaging with the opposition fullbacks or wide players or even their central striking options at times. But with this role set in play, he will look to get forward a lot more than if he was situated as a left-sided centre-back that was set to overlap and, step up as well, which is exactly what Danilo is set to. Not always, but at times to lend an offensive approach or an offensive outlets down that wider right space. And the major difference between the left-back being set to a very similar role and the right-sided centre-back being set to this role is only when you have a lot of possession and you're maintaining the ball in that final third area will you see the right-sided centre-back get forward and look to operate higher up the field in that wider right space. Whereas the base of your midfield of Cambiasso as well as Locatelli, and like I said, it could be Thuram, it could be Douglas Luiz, you do have that good fluid rotational play at times. But I've selected Locatelli because he's got a slightly better defensive work rates to him, whereas Thuram and Douglas Luiz have a better attacking work rates to them. Now, for the base of your midfield, Cambiasso, Locatelli, they'll both be set to tight mark, just like with before. But this time, they'll be set to aggressive interceptions. You want them imposing themselves. You want them pressing high up the field. You want them trying to disrupt and disturb as much of the midfield play from the opposition as possible. And just like with before as well, they'll be set to box-to-box midfielders. We want both of them to be able to drift wide when, in possession of the ball, looking to try and stretch the play, looking to try and help overload down the left or the right channel. And that is exactly what Locatelli, as well as Cambiasso, can provide for the side. As you'll see for the likes of your right defensive midfielder, he'll be set to the same role and instructions as well. The role of Douglas Luiz as well as Thuram will be set to the same role as before. Come back on defense, stick to position, balanced crossing runs, and aggressive interceptions. Very similar to the role that Douglas Luiz maintained in the 4-2-3-1. And this will help generate that good fluidity, having the likes of Thuram as well as Douglas Luiz drop quite deep and having your box-to-box midfielders in Cambiasso and Locatelli at times venture further forward. And you will have this nice movement between your midfield 4 players. As you'll see here for the likes of Yildiz as well as Weah, they'll also be set to the same role and instructions as before. Aggressive interceptions, balanced crossing run, come back on defense, stay wide, and of course a balanced support. And then last but not least, the likes of Vlahovic will be set to stay central, maintain a mixed run type. Now essentially the target player approach is more vital when you do shift to the system, but you also want him at times looking to try and stretch the play, making those runs in behind, or even dropping a bit deep and linking up with the midfield players. So that's why I've still left him on mixed. The interceptions will be set to normal, and then finally a basic defensive support should be applied. And there you go, people. That is how I would successfully go ahead and implement Thiago Motta's Juventus tactics from their preseason into FC24 for the current Juventus side. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to smash that like button down below, as well as join up with the Discord. Please, that would be great. If you have Discord, join up. We chat everything FC24. We chat everything football, and we're chatting a lot at the moment about FC25. So if you are interested, the link will be down below for you guys to go ahead and click and join up with the Discord. Anyways, we are going to hop on into some gameplay where we will discuss these tactics in further detail. Okay, people, Juventus versus Atletico Madrid. Now, they are set to play each other in preseason soon, and that's why I've selected them to play each other now. We will be, swapping and changing between the 4-2-3-1 and the 3-2-4-1 as we establish ourselves in the game, looking just to rotate passes. You see the likes of Locatelli dropping, you see the likes of Thuram dropping at times, and you see Cabral operating in the midfield zones. So it will either be Cabral or Thuram or Locatelli involved in creating that box midfield, which I quite like, might I say. Vlahovic, he's been given a lot of space, and oh my goodness me, Oblak claws that one out of the net. That could have been a great start from distance too. You can't be giving him that much space. You can't be backing up like that. And he just claws it out for a corner kick. Now Douglas Luiz set to take it. Of course, a very good corner kick taker, and it is dealt with quite well. We are going to be looking for the back post. Oh my goodness, we really did do a great job there. And there we go. We've got a great run from the right back that does tend to stay back, although he has put it straight into the path of Oblak, who does collect the ball. He is going to punt it long. We've got Cabral up against Griezmann, and Griezmann, oddly enough, is very good in the air. But he is going to look to engage with Griezmann. He's going to look to step up. He's going to look to impose himself quite nicely, which I do want to see a fair amount of. Now, we have been done in here as Lino has tried his best, but he couldn't get it done. Anyway, we work the ball into Weah. Weah plays a great pass back into the midfield zone. Locatelli, we're just going to look to try and re-establish our offensive play. Cabral collects the ball. Yildiz. Here we go. Here we go. Griezmann dropping quite deep here. Great ball into Weah. Weah's going to look for the back post area, although it is blocked very nicely from Lenormand. We are going to look to initiate the 3-2-4-1 play. And because the likes of Atletico Madrid are playing in a back five system, I think a more offensive structure like this will definitely look to help stretch the play, occupy their centre backs, and make sure that they are being exploited and exposed. And so we have put it across the face of goal and into the back of the net mere moments after switching the offensive style of play into a more aggressive style. We found the breakthrough early doors. A great cut across the face of the box into the path of Weah, who then he absolutely bangs it into the back of the net. A great attacking run from one of your deeper lying playmakers or your deeper lying midfielders, who is now playing as an attacking midfielder in Thuram, and he finds a great pass into Weah. Okay, Simeone, pick that one out of the net, mates. You know, try and make sure that you are consistently switching rotations, consistently making sure that you are making the right, well, not the right formational changes, but every time there's a stop and play, make sure that you're going to try and reset your defense, because you might be caught out every now and then with the very aggressive attacking play. Out wide, yet again into Weah. Weah is going to look to find the return pass into Douglas Luiz. Finds Thuram. Gets a great ball into Vlahovic, who has held off his man beautifully, and he's missed the whole mark. He's missed the whole mark. Okay, well, that was looking quite interesting. If we had scored that, it would have been very, very interesting. Although, again, we are back in our 4-2-3-1. And Cabral, who has stepped up, he is following Griezmann everywhere he goes. And as you see there, Cambiasso is back, creating a solid back three type system. Lino looking to be as involved as possible. Locatelli is there to try and break up the play. And Danilo successfully breaks up the play. And that will be half-time. A fantastic defensive setup, a fantastic offensive approach at times. There have been one or two loose passes from me that have led to an offensive breakdown. But so far, we've really dominated Atletico Madrid and everything that they've tried to do. Okay, so at the break, we have had 65% possession. We've had 3 shots with an expected goals of 1.7, 71 passes compared to just 25. Atletico Madrid have had no real attacking outlets stemmed in our box or created or any shots or whatsoever. A pass accuracy of 93%. It could even be a bit higher if we hadn't misplaced a few passes. And a success dribble rate of 96%. Not too bad. We are definitely dominating things versus Atletico Madrid. For the possession, we have had a lot of it in the central areas before pushing the ball out wide into the wider channels and looking to try and attack the play from those wider areas of the field, where we found a lot of success. The likes of Thuram cutting it across to the right midfielder, who did make that run into the box, and we ended up scoring the goal. So when we do try and stretch the play, it does open up a lot of holes in the Atletico backline. And in terms of their possession, they've maintained a lot of it in the deeper central areas of the field. So just taking a look at the passing map at the break, a lot of the passes have been exchanged between our midfield, which is exactly what we want. We are trying to dominate, the proceedings in that central area. But also, I like the fact that the centre-backs and even the wider players have also been somewhat involved. So we need to maybe get Yildiz a bit more involved, as well as Cambiasso. Okay, kicking things off here in the second half. Juventus are up 1-0, but of course, the halftime kickoff glitch always does do me in. So we need to defend, we need to stay switched on. And we are actually going to implement a team press. So unless Atletico somehow turn into prime Barcelona and play through my press, which they've literally just gone on a crazy run for. Cabral doing a great job, just breaking up the play. Looking to play it from the back, a little chip into the midfield zones. Thuram shows for the pass, and he is allowed to receive it. And we've built up the play. We've done a great job there. Into Locatelli. I do like how Thuram or Locatelli can drop into the half space, though. They drop just in between the two centre-backs. And that is also because Cabral does choose at times to step up. There we go. Some good play. Likes of Cambiasso. He has gone on a more audacious, more marauding run. Further forward now into Vlahovic, who does look to lay it off. We are going to switch to that more aggressive attacking formation as Douglas Luiz from distance, just outside the box. Well, he pops off a shot and Oblak is there to meet it. Pushes it out for a corner kick. Luiz sets to please. Oh, goodness me. Yildiz, he plays it back into Douglas Luiz. Douglas Luiz looking for that back post area. Oh my god, it's pinched off the toe of Thuram. Danilo, he's looking just to mark. There we go. Well done, Danilo. We have looked to try and play it into the central zones, playing it out through the press. Oh my god. Oh my god, he's headed it just wayward. And that is their first opportunity of the game. They are suggesting Moretti for Douglas Luiz. We're not going to make that sub just yet. I do want another goal, so I'm going to be a bit more aggressive, a bit more attacking. Look to try and overload the midfield areas. Cabral looking to venture further forward now into Yildiz. Okay, we like to see it. Back into Cabral. Thuram, lovely jubbly. Bang, bang, and bang. Further forward now. Let's not rush anything. Let's not rush anything. Good rotation. Solid rotational play. Great play. Cambiasso, he's ventured into the attacking zone, and he's absolutely rifled it. That's right. That is my left-sided DM venturing forward, playing as an attacking midfielder in that area, in that position, and pops off the shot and gets it in the back of the net. A more attacking, a more aggressive approach, and we've quite easily overloaded and overwhelmed this, not Juventus, but this Atletico Madrid. Very stingy defense. Like, it's been great. It's been fantastic. The offensive display of these tactics has been magnifique. Beautifully done, and we are going to revert back into our fullback formation just whilst the kickoff things occur. And I hope you guys are taking notes here, because I don't want to see in the comment section, how do I know when to switch between this, and this? Because I've been very clear with the instructions. You need to be able to chop and change very fluidly between the two. And when you have a really decent offensive approach, or a good offensive rhythm. And against the smaller sides, you could even start games off just in this 3-back formation. Okay, Weah, he's gotten away from his man. He isn't behind. He's looking to attack the space, of course. Keep in mind, this is still with the 4-back formation. And Weah goes down in the box, and they haven't said anything there. They haven't said anything. They've just said it's a goal kick. Lovely. Lovely. Lovely! Oh, it's a great block. Lenormand doing the most. Okay, well, Douglas Luiz, can we maybe get an opportunity here? We are going to go with a lot of power, low cross, early doors. Okay, well, their near post was definitely well marked. Anyways, that will be the gameplay. I really do hope you guys have enjoyed it. Let me know down below in the comment section how you found the tactics. Please, that would be great. But yes, let's look at the full-time stats. The possession is 60-40 in our favor. Our possession did go down a little bit, but I think Atletico Madrid tried to apply their attacking outlets a bit better in the second half, so they did improve. But they only had an expected goals of 0.5 compared to our 2.9. We could have scored 3 goals, to be fair. And there were some great defensive actions taken by Atletico Madrid to try and prevent us from scoring those goals, so fair play to them. The tackles was 20-9, so we were very involved in the defensive outlook, looking to win the ball back, looking to press and probe and create those misfortunes for Atletico's backline area. Of course, Yildiz and Weah doing very good in those wide areas, whether it was attacking or pressing. They were fantastic. A pass accuracy of 91% and a dribble success rate of 94. But yes, those are the stats at full time. Don't forget to smash the like button. Don't forget to join up with the Discord if you have a Discord. As well as, I hope you guys have a goddamn smashing day. I'm out of here. Peace.